In this episode, we're going to look at how to navigate the iOS. I'll show you how to do it and have a discussion of the concepts along the way. In this activity, we'll practice the skills necessary for navigating the Cisco IOS, such as different user modes, various configuration modes, and common commands used on a regular basis. We'll also look at practicing accessing the context-sensitive help by configuring the clock command. We'll be discussing establishing basic connections, accessing the CLI, and exploring the help and the EXEC modes. Greetings to all my tech heads out there in the KevTechify Nation, and if you're new here, welcome. This episode is part of my series on practical configuration examples for the CCNA. I'm Kevin here at KevTechify. Let's get this adventure started. Navigating the iOS, getting around in the Cisco operating system. Here are objectives, basic connections, exploring exec mode, and then we're going to set the clock to actually do a command there. Gives you a scenario, once again, moving around, getting a little bit familiar with the Cisco operating system. We'll get started here. Part 1, step 1, connect PC 1 to switch 1 using the console connection. Once again, that console connection is the blue cable. It goes into the RS-232 serial port on your computer. You may have to go through a USB converter to do that, but it's a serial connection. It's outside of your network. It is an out-of-band connection. So the first step is to come down here. Underneath this lightning bolt in the bottom left corner of your packet tracer window, you go ahead and click on the connections. That's that red lightning bolt. Then you can mouse over them to see what the different type of connections are. What we're looking for is the console connection. That's that blue curved line. I'm going to go ahead and click on it. Now notice when I move my cursor up, it changes into console connection. What we want to do is we want to click on PC1. Where do we want to plug it in? So these are all the ports that are available on PC1. We want to connect it into the RS-232 slot. When I do, we can see that we have this blue cable going around. And then you get to click on what device do I want to connect it into. I want to connect it onto serial 1, console connection. There we go. We have our console connection. It's complete. On to step 2. Click PC1, then select the desktop. So I'm going to go down here, left click on PC1. I'm going to slide my window over a little bit so I can see my instructions. And then I'm going to click on this desktop tab up here on the top. Click the terminal application. So we have a terminal emulator here built into Packet Tracer. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Here is our settings. This is the port configuration. We're going to make sure that our settings are correct. Now, to configure a Cisco device using our console connection, these are the settings we want. We want 9600 bits per second, 8 data bits. We want the parity of none, stop bits of 1, and no flow control. Now, are you going to have to memorize these? If you're going to take the certification exam, the actual CCNA, you may have to know those numbers off the top of your head. You may have to put that to memory. But most terminal emulation programs, they will default to those settings. So we can take this, we can go ahead and click OK. Question over here is, what is the setting for the bits per second? 9600 is what our setting's at. Go ahead and click OK. Screen that appears may have several messages. Somewhere on there should be press to enter to get started. Right there at the end it says press to enter to get started. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Now we're into the machine. Notice did not ask for a password at this point in time. It gives us our prompt S1 and then the greater than sign. So the name of our device is S1. Then it gives us the greater than sign. The greater than sign once again represents we are in user executive mode right there. Step 3. iOS can provide help. And so we're going to look at the help commands here. It wants me to put a question mark in there. Question mark here will tell me what commands are available. I put that in there, I hit enter. These are all the commands that are available right here, right now, where my question mark is at. Now, if we want to filter it down a little bit more, we can start typing in some letters. So the question reads, put in a T, then type the question mark. Come down here, put in a T, and then a question mark. It's going to list all the commands that start with the letter T. If we notice up here above, we had 3 commands here that started with a T, but it listed everybody because we didn't do that. Now that we went down here and put the T with the question mark, it gave us our 3 commands that started with a T. Another thing to enter, notice is it retyped everything before that question mark. So you don't have to go in and retype that again. So at this point in time, the lab says type at the prompt, type TE, then the question mark. Once again, remember, it put in everything before the question mark. So all we have to do at this point in time is put a T and then an E, and notice it narrowing it down. Now it only gives you the commands, there's 2 of them, it only gives you the commands that are starting with a TE. But I answer the question, which commands are displayed? Telnet and terminal. The question before it was Telnet, terminal, and traceroute. Part 2. Step 1. At the command prompt, put in a question mark. I'm going to hit the backspace, hit enter a couple times, give me a clear line, but it tells me put a question mark in there. Now, once again, it's going to list out all commands that I can put in there that matches anything before the question mark. Seeing as there was nothing there, it gives me all the commands. Question wants to know what information is displayed for enable. Coming over here, we go down, we find the enable, and it says turn on privileged commands. That's what we're looking. That's what's going to happen if we type in enable. Say turn on privileged commands. Okay. Type EN and press the tab key. You're going to type EN. If we look at all the commands that were available, only one starts with EN. Now, this is where tab completion comes in. If it only matches one thing, what you've typed in there, and you hit the tab, it's going to complete the command for you. So I typed in EN. Now I'm going to hit the tab key. That's all I'm going to do. And notice it completed that command for us right there. Now what's displayed after the tab key? Enable. So I typed out that. This is called command completion or tab completion. What would happen if you typed TE and then the tab at the prompt? I'm going to hit backspace. I'm going to type TE. Now, what do you think is going to happen? If we look over here, we actually have 2 commands again that start with TE at the beginning. So what's going to happen when I type TE and then hit tab? It's basically confused. It doesn't know which one you want. So it's not going to complete anything at this point in time. So what happened when we typed TE? It did not complete the command. Now, let's say I wanted to type terminal here. I would type in one more letter. Now there's only one term there that starts with TER. If I hit tab, it'll type it out. Okay. So I'll backspace that, hit enter a couple more times, down to question C. Enter the enable command and press enter. So I'm going to type in enable. How does the prompt change? What we're looking at is right here. We went from the greater than sign to the pound sign. The hashtag, the octothorpe, or my personal favorite is the waffle sign. So we changed that. The prompt changed, but what does that signify here? I'll say prompt changed. Okay, question D. When prompted, type in the question mark. I did the question mark here. We have the question mark listed. List out all the commands there. More signifies there's more commands that are available. One command starts with C in user exec mode. So back before we typed enable, back when we had the command prompt of the greater than sign, there was only one command that started with the C. at that point in time. Now, when we're in privileged exec mode, we put in a question mark. How many commands are starting with the letter C? Well, we can go back here. We have clear, we have clock, we have configure, we have connect, and copy. There are 5 commands here that start with them. And like I said, we have clear, clock, configure, connect, and copy. Those are the 5 commands that start with the C. So good job. We're gonna finish out this show command. I'm gonna hit a couple more enters to get us to a clear line. Now we're down to step 2. Go ahead in here. One of the commands starting with the C is configure. Either type in the full command or enough commands to make it unique. Press the tab key to issue the command and press enter. So I'm going to go in and type CONF, and then I'm going to hit tab. And notice it finished it out. That's that tab completion again. And then it says press enter. What's the message that's displayed? Well, the message that's displayed down here is it's asking you for, do you want to configure from terminal, from memory, or from the network? So you have the choice there. And then notice here, we have square brackets and the word terminal in there. What that means is if you want to take what the default answer is, the default answer here, all you have to do at this point in time is hit enter. So the message that was displayed, configure from terminal, memory, or network. And then terminal is in square brackets. So we want to take the default, so all we have to do is press enter here. And notice our command prompt changed. We went from privileged exec mode into global configuration mode. So now it says config, which is global configuration mode. Step 2B. Global configuration mode. Now return to privileged exec mode. And we have 3 ways of doing that. You can type N, you can type exit, or there's a keyboard shortcut of Control Z. You can do either one. I typically always use exit, so I'm just going to type in exit. Returns me back. Notice the prompt changes. Also notice it says, okay, you left global configuration mode. Configuration was from the console by the console, meaning somebody at the console, we're in this terminal emulation mode here. We configured it. So we get that pop-up message, and I just hit enter a couple more times to get clear lines there. I hope you're liking this episode on practical configuration examples. Leave a comment on what you think about these configuration examples. If you still have a question or comment, please let me know below. You can also visit my website at KevTechify.com for all of my details and how to get these episodes in video and podcast form. Okay. Now we're going to go down and do part 3 here. It's to set a clock. It's to actually use a command, see what some of the errors are that we're going to be given. Now they want us to type in the show command. So we're going to show some type of information, and we want to show information about our clock. It tells us what the current time is. What the current time is on our switch. Current time on switch. So it gives us that information. Now we're going to use the context sensitive help because we want you to be a little bit familiar with it so we can learn how to do this stuff later on. You want me to type the word clock and then hit enter right away. And notice it says we have an incomplete command. And that %, that means it's a system message. And it's telling us it's an incomplete command. Well, to find out what comes after the clock, I'm going to use a shortcut. I'm going to hit the up arrow once. So I'm going to hit the up arrow once. It puts it in there. I don't have to retype it. Now, this was a short command. I don't know what's quicker, if I had to retype it or find the up arrow. But if it's a long command and you're 50, 100 characters into it, that up arrow is your friend at that point in time. So I'm going to have the word clock, put a space and a question mark, and then notice it's looking for the word set. So that's telling us what command is being used, or what option it's looking for. So it's the set command. Now we want to find out a little bit more about that. Notice we don't have to type it in again. Anything before the question mark is re-entered there for you. So I'm going to put a space and a question mark, and now it's saying it wants the current time. Current time in this format: 2 numbers, colon, 2 numbers, colon, 2 numbers, hours, minutes, seconds. Hours, minutes, seconds. What we're looking for. And so what would have been displayed if you didn't put the question mark in there? Well, if we do that, once again, it's saying incomplete command. Because you need to put something in there. You need to put those hours in there. What time is it now? At that point in time. Okay. Hit enter to get some more clear lines there. Step E. Based upon the information requested, they want a time. So we want to enter a time of 3 p.m. in a 24-hour military time format. So 3 p.m. is equal to 1500 for military time. The command we're going to enter here is clock set 1500, and then putting in a question mark. Clock set 1500, hours, minutes, seconds, and then a question mark. It's looking for days or months of the year. Day of the month or month of the year. Okay, step F. Attempt to set the date to January 31st, 2035 using the format requested. Down here, they're looking for either the day of the month or the month of the year. And notice, day of the month is a number 0 through 31. Month of the year has capital M, capital O, N, T, H. So they're actually looking for the word of the month. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to say the day of the year. The day of the year, or sorry, day of the month is the 31st. Remember what they're looking for. I'm going to put a space and then a question mark. Month of the year. 3-character abbreviation works fine. I'm going to put a space, and then it's asking for the year 2035. And yes, they do expect these to be out of service, or at least have your software updated by 2035. So you do have a couple years to make sure that your software is updated. So I'm going to go ahead, hit enter. Now, in the Cisco world, no news is good news. What do I mean by that? If they didn't tell you you did something wrong, then you did it right. So no news is good news. I didn't get any feedback here on my command prompt, on my command line here. And so it happened good. They want us to do the show clock command and verify our information is correct. Show space clock. And notice our time. We have 1500, 0:53, so I did it 53 seconds ago. We have UTC, that's what time zone it is, that's the universal time constant there. And then the date, January 31st, 2035. There we go. We have it set correctly. Now, if you had problems, you can go ahead and try it one more time. But that's exactly what we came up with. Hit enter, clear out some lines, get us there. Okay, on to step 2. We're going to explore a little bit more about the operating system, get you a little bit more familiar with it, show you some things that are happening. So here we are in the hashtag #, which is what mode? Privileged exec mode, excellent. And they want us to type in the CL and then hit the tab command. When we hit the tab command, notice nothing shows up. I'm going to hit enter. It says ambiguous command, hit the tab command, and nothing is coming up. So what was the deal here? We put a question mark in there, it'll tell us. There's multiple things matching that at that point in time. So if I would go and type in CLO and then hit tab, that'd be the same as typing clock, because the two commands that match CL were clear and clock. But as soon as I went 3 characters deep, it only matched clock. So that's what we did when we did tab completion here. Type in clock, now they want us to hit enter. What happened? Oh no, it's an incomplete command. Now, if we remember from what we just did a couple minutes ago, we have to specify times and dates and all that kind of stuff. So right here, it was an incomplete command for us. Now they want us to type in clock set 2500. You can use the up arrow. Once again, typing the word clock or using the up arrow, kind of the same trade-off. I'm going to use the up arrow, get the word clock in there. We're going to go set, and then 2500 colon, and try to set that as our time. What is that saying? Oh geez. Saying invalid input. Now, what does invalid input mean? Something is not right. What you tried to enter in that option is invalid. It's not correct. What we could do is come back over here, up arrow to the command, and go back to where that caret was and put a question mark in there. Current time. Well, what they had us do is put 2500 or 25 in for our current time, military UTC time constant. But remember, on a clock, it goes from 0 to 23 hours. The day is only 24 hours long. It's not 25 hours long. So 25 is out of the parameter. So that's where it was getting the incorrect value from. Now they would like to have us put clock set 1500 in there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use the up and down arrows until I find that clock set 2500, left arrow over, backspace, put a 1 in there, and you can hit enter anywhere, but I have to add the 32 on the end, space 32, we hit enter, invalid input. Now why was it invalid input? Well, what I would do is up arrow, delete everything until that little, get over to that little caret sign, and then put a question mark in there. And then to set the date, you also, or set the time, you also need to set the date with it. And that's what it was looking for. And that completes episode 1, Packet Tracer Lab 2.3.7. It was my pleasure to provide you with this wonderful episode on configuration examples. If you like this episode and you got value out of it, please click that like button, give a 5-star rating, leave a comment. This all helps me bring you more great content. Please take a minute to subscribe to my channel. All my socials and contact information are on my website, KevTechify.com. There you can find out how to get all these episodes in video and podcast form. Thank you so much for watching this episode of my series on practical configuration examples for the CCNA. I've created 4 wonderful playlists for you on the CCNA. These episodes, I go through all the concepts that Cisco calls out for the CCNA. Once again, I'm Kevin. This is KevTechify. I'll see you next time for another great adventure.